Good evening and welcome, everyone, to the IATC Exchange Zone podcast, episode number 6 of the 2024 season. Ben Dewey here tonight, joined as always by Kyle Wegner. Kyle, we are over halfway done. I'm excited to see the stretch run go here, and we're definitely excited here on the Exchange Zone to cover it.
Absolutely. You feel you're getting towards the end of the season. Yeah, we got that Dan Patrick on-air button. But I'm with you. I'm ready to get into the real, mix of things here. But truly enjoyed this entire season so far. But it's going to be fun one the rest of the way.
Joel Bloomer in the back, as always. Joel, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Uh-oh. We got the cricket talk. Say it again.
How you guys doing? I'm doing pretty good.
Technical difficulties with your microphone. So anyways, let's
said
get
he's
started.
doing
Don't
good.
forget to give us a like or subscribe to us on all of the social media platforms. We stream live every Sunday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Last week we did not get our audio podcast out. That will be out this week for this week's episode. And you can find that on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast networks like Google Play. Let's get to our question of the day. Yeah, I might have to read it if your audio's out. Go ahead.
The quick question of the week is it more valuable for a high school cross-country team to have a few standout runners or a deep roster with consistent performers?
So is it more valuable for a high school cross-country team to have a couple of standout runners or a deep roster of consistent runners? I'm going to post that to the Twitter, the IATFCC Twitter, or X now. Go on and cast your vote. Kyle and I will talk about this at the end when the results come in. Moving on. Best thing I saw last week, Kyle. Previous week, it was that Ottumwa Twilight, which I thought was just remarkable, and I think it really shows an excitement for the future of the sport. I think that nighttime running is going to be more popular each year. This week, it was St. Ansgar. I was tipped off that I believe the meet was held in Manly, Iowa, and St. Ansgar live streams the meet. So obviously in high school, we're seeing volleyball games, football games live stream. St. Ansgar live streams the meet, and they had several cameras. I want to get one of them on just to pick their brain on how they did it. Is it working on the screen? So we're supposed to be able to show the video. We're not sure if it'll work or not.
We're trying new things every week, and sometimes they backfire and sometimes they work.
It's showing some results right now, Joel, not your YouTube. Well, there's a preview of what we're going to talk about later. Forecasted 1A girls team results. Anyways, if you get a chance, go on YouTube and go to St. Ansgar's video department, and they live streamed this whole meet, and it was unbelievable. I think they had a drone. I think they had a couple of cameras on the ground. They followed the whole race. You can kind of see it on SEC Network sometimes now when they're doing cross-country races. St. Ansgar did a heck of a job.
Wow, that's sweet. I think Central Elkader did it with a drone last year, but to have the multiple camera angles like a full track meet is pretty sweet, and it's just another way that our sport's going to continue to develop. We'll probably get into some of those other things tonight on how we think our sport could grow, develop, and things like that, but really cool. You scared me a little. I saw before we got on air, his microphone looked like it was going to tip over, and I saw it wiggle, and I was like,
oh boy,
I thought it was going down. So we might have, it might be an interesting Sunday night here at the Dewey residence.
Yeah, so anyways, go check that out. Congrats to St. Ansgar, and they're actually going to go do another meet coming up there in northern Iowa. I was told their department's actually going to go to another school. Would it work for our state meet? I'm going to have to say no because of the internet connection up there. There's got to be some better connection in order to pull that off. But I think in the future, hopefully, that's something that we can do at the state meet as well.
Didn't they put the high-speed internet in over the?
But there's no way it hasn't gotten any better, in my opinion.
Well, they did it after this past cross-country meet, right?
Maybe.
Was my understanding from
Maybe.
the IATC meeting last November, whenever it was. I could
I'd
be
like
wrong.
to
I
do
could
a
be
show
making that
of
up. but-
ours there, but there's no way the internet will hang in there for us.
Test run at the Fort Dodge meet this year.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. And some other things, Kyle, you put down quit paving
Yeah.
limestone trails.
I did. I'm getting angry. The Heart of Iowa Trail in Huxley, Cambridge, has been a long-time staple. A few years ago, they paved it from Huxley to Cambridge. Now they're paving it all the way from Cambridge to Maxwell or Collins, whatever town's at the end. I think maybe Collins. We like to go up there and train. I know a lot of other schools do. So this year, I was driving by and I was like, oh, I was taking my dog to the vet and saw it was closed. I was like, oh, well, that throws a wrench in our plans. And I was talking to Coach James Mills at a meet, and he said, why don't you come up to Hickory Grove in Nevada? And it's a 3-mile limestone trail around the lake up there. So we met up with them on Saturday and got a nice long run in with them. It was really cool. Thank you to them for the suggestion and joining us. And they're doing their meet there tomorrow with like Gilbert, North Polk. So should be a fun one.
That's a beautiful area. I've been there a couple times. Beautiful park. So yeah, tonight on the episode we've got a lot to cover. It wasn't really a signature meet last week. We're going to look at the Dubuque meet, obviously, the Jim Boughton, and then Sioux Center up in northwest Iowa had a massive meet. But there was more smaller meets with really important implications, would be the best way to put it. Class 4A seemed like an off week. So not a lot of action, especially in central Iowa for Class 4A. Eastern Iowa, there are a couple meets. So we're going to really take a look at some of those smaller meets and those performances. Obviously, we'll spend some time on Dubuque and Sioux Center. Jaden Merrick of Cedar Falls will join the show tonight, fresh off a big victory at the Jim Boughton Invitational over Quentin Nauman, who we've had on the show earlier this year, a 10-second victory for Jaden. He'll join the show. Drake Relays champion in the 3200 this past spring. We'll have some rankings boosts, both for the team and some individuals tonight. And then we'll have Bloomer Trivia. He's got another brain buster for our listeners. And then some quick hits, and then we'll preview what's going to be maybe the biggest week of the season outside of the conference meet slate. You're looking at Wartburg. You're looking at City High, the Kickers Park, Bud Williams Classic, Jessup, a huge meet, Williamsburg, a big meet with a lot of implications. Southeast Polk, huge girls meet down at Southeast Polk with several ranked teams in the top 10. Sheraton will be hosting a good meet, and West Dubuque. So we will cover those a little bit at the end. All right, let's go to our rankings team boost for this week. We have more than 4. That's how busy of a week it was. So let's start with the Bloodhounds of Fort Madison, always one of my favorite nicknames to say on the show. But Fort Madison, a big upset. Number 11 over number 3 Solon at Anamosa, 61-63. Now Solon was without Ava Rolls, and she's been out for a few weeks now.
Yep.
But we've been saying all year, just in small little teasers, Fort Madison is dangerous. 3A girls after Pella and maybe Mount Vernon is wide open. And this Fort Madison team is in the top 10 now for sure. And it'll be interesting to see how far they can move up here. But they've got 6 really solid runners in a 38-second spread. Avery Rump leads the Bloodhounds, and they are very good.
And the Solon just beat Mount Vernon Lisbon by 9 this same week.
Yeah,
So
earlier in the week, that's right.
Chaos this week. Fort Madison tied a great Mid-Prairie team, beat Washington, who's on the rise. So you're right. 3A and with the Raccoon River Conference, all those teams seems like they just keep beating each other or finish within a couple points of each other. Des Moines Christian 3A is shaping up to be a really good one.
All right, moving on. You've got the next one on the boys' side, City High.
Yeah, they had a good meet. Was it the Eastern Iowa Classic, if I remember right? Number 8 City High taking down number 5 and number 6 Ankeny and Norwalk. The corridor area teams, I guess, are, I feel like Central Iowa was pretty normally the top teams in the state, especially in Class 4A, and Prairie and City High. Cedar Falls is, I guess, more Cedar Valley, but they're really stepping it up this year and throwing their names into that top 5 conversation.
Especially on the boys' side.
Right.
You got Cedar Rapids Prairie. City High is running really well. So that those teams are doing a good job. Next up, you've got CPU.
Yeah, CPU on the girls' side and Marion both beat Clear Creek Amana. Now, Clear Creek Amana was without their normal 2 of their top 5 runners. I still think CPU and Marion look pretty solid. I do think Clear Creek Amana is a really good team. So I guess more to be seen with those 2 teams, but kind of maybe not a rankings boost, but keep them on your radar at this time.
See, I'll tell you what's going to be a challenge is the state associations putting these 3A teams in regions. Usually you can kind of separate at 15, 16. I mean, look, you got 2 unranked teams here that beat a team that was inside the top 8. Granted, they were without a couple runners, but still, 3A, I tell you what, this is going to be a wide open class, both at the state meet but also at the qualifier in both boys and girls. I mean, it's really going to be fascinating and a real highly contested battle just to get to the state meet.
Without question.
And you can go below 20 teams.
Oh yeah, I got a girls spreadsheet right now, 3A girls pulled up. I have at least 23 teams that I think realistically
and we
have
have
a
not
shot.
seen that since we've been doing this.
Not that deep. Normally, usually it's that, 17, 18 are the ones that can really give it a run, and right now, man, it's deep, and the boys' side's the same.
Martinsdale St. Mary's, the girls in Class 1A, number 5 this week, they had a 5-point loss. Not quite pulled the ultimate shocker over Earlham, but we both right now think that Martinsdale might be that number 2 team in 1A on the girls' side. Madrid's still missing Mila Growthhouse. We think she'll be back, but this is a Martinsdale St. Mary's team, Kyle, that just keeps getting better as we go and almost pulled off a shocker the other night at Creston.
Yeah, I got to see them in person at Winterset. They looked like the real deal, especially at 1A school. I've seen Madrid. I've seen Earlham. They look just like they belong in that conversation. Maybe a step below, but definitely in the podium conversation, with which we'll get to in a bit, how crazy the 1A girls is.
Yeah, the Bogie boys, they just are lurking, aren't they?
Didn't they do that last year? Kind of flew under the radar for a long time.
Way under the radar last year. This year, at least, they're showing they have most of their runners every week. But this is a Bogie team, especially if Osler can become that low stick. Himdahl's running really well. Their 3rd runner, they got a freshman in there as well. This is a team that's really performing well in a Class 2A that we talked about last week for quite some time that is wide open on the boys' side. So they had a big week. And then how about Washington? What a story this has been. Non-ranked for the first 5 weeks. They come into the rankings at number 8 from non-ranked last week. Is that correct?
That's what they were on the forecast site. I think they were still outside the top 15.
Okay.
But the computer loved them. That's for sure.
The computer loves them. They've got some guys back, but a really dominant win over Mid Prairie. I was going to say Mount Pleasant. Mid Prairie without Yoder.
Yep.
But Washington, I still think, beats them.
Yes. Yep.
With Yoder. How high can this Washington team rise in 3A?
Their top Sioux City North that one year. They were going to give Dowling a run, maybe just after 5, it's a pretty big drop. If anyone has an off day, if anyone gets hurt, they're in trouble. But right now, they look really solid, definitely in that top 15 conversation. But who knows? A lot can happen in the next couple weeks, but they're one that's definitely, their stock has risen incredibly with the addition of Parker Shantz, I believe is how you pronounce it, the last 2 weeks. Junior for them back. Has completely changed the season outlook for Washington.
14th by the IATC, 8th in the power rankings, so I would say somewhere in the middle there probably is a fair assessment. Let's go to the rankings boost for the individuals, and Kuma Gutema We previewed him in our Fab Freshman preseason awards from Sioux City North. Just like Gomez of Denver, it just seems like Gutema is getting better every time out. He's undefeated outside of the Augie Twilight. Sioux Center invite champ, which you'll talk about in a little bit. But, Kyle, this is a really, really good runner. I'm excited to see when he goes against some 4A schools here coming up. I think they come down to Fort Dodge in a couple weeks. But really impressive stuff.
Oh, yeah, and they've raced some good 3A schools.
Running 18 minutes a couple times to start this year. He ran 16:50 on what appeared to be a very honest course up there at Sioux Center. So congrats to Caden Quaker and a heck of a performance, and he'll see himself inside the top 30 this week.
Nice, absolutely.
Isaac Riesinger of Wakan. What a senior year he's putting together for Wakan. He wins that home invite on his course. Fourth at Starmont last meet behind Gomez, Sauser, and Alex Torres of Vinton. This is a good runner in 2A. That is definitely a podium contender, and we'll see how high he can move up throughout this last 5 weeks.
Big boost. He's been a big boost for Walk-On this year.
Yep. Hayden Thompson. Here's a name to watch for Lake Mills. Man, this Lake Mills team, I would like to get one of the members, maybe the coach of Lake Mills on, because he's done a phenomenal job with this team.
I should have forwarded you the email. I got one that asked for the Lake Mills trio to be on.
Oh, all right. That'd be fun.
That would be. I think we did that with Shawai and Peyton Noe with the duo. We should one up it, go the trio.
Well, Hayden Thompson, usually their third runner, comes into this meet runner-up behind Gavin Grunhold of North Iowa Buffalo Center, which, by the way, he is the real deal. He's ranked number 1 in 1A. He won by 40 seconds. But Hayden Thompson, the lower-ranked of the Lake Mills athletes, had his best race of the year. And, Kyle, they have a legitimate chance of putting 3 on the deck, if not 3 in the top 10 here in 1A. And if they do that, they're going to be right where they were last year.
They're solid. You know, they just beat Forest City by 5 this week. I thought they would have to reload a little bit, but, man, they are back and ready to roll.
Iris Melody, South Central Calhoun, came in number 28 in 1A. She beats 2A number 14, Rachel Putsey of WCKP at MVAC Alphabet Soup OU. They make an appearance once a year usually. And but a big win there for Iris Melody, and she'll see a significant boost, I bet, in that ranking this week.
Absolutely. Go ahead. What's your last one?
Elise Ayrton.
All right. Big meet at Indianola.
You want to talk about someone who's running about as well as anyone in 3A, for sure, other than a couple of those Pella girls, is Elise Ayrton. 9th at Heartland. Wins Indianola over a very good top 10 runner in Jordan Brown in Class 4A. She's having a great year herself for the Indians, and Ayrton with a nice victory. Let's bring in our guest tonight here on the IATC Exchange Zone. It is the 2024 Drake Relays 3,200-meter champion from Cedar Falls, Jaden Merrick. Jaden, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, frozen. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
You can hear me? Okay, cool.
Yep. All right. So, Jaden, you know, hard to believe you're already a junior. I've been watching you run since I was coaching at Ames, and I watched you when you were about 7 or 8 years old. And you were just incredible.
Yeah.
At that age, just national champion, right?
Yep, couple times.
Couple-time national champion. But anyways, I want to start there. You know, you came up with huge expectations because of the success you had nationally as a youth athlete. How do those expectations work for you, and how do you use the kind of the pressure that's given to you and that's been on your shoulder for this long as a way to continue to get better and to continue to perform at an elite level every time you run?
Yeah. So, growing up for me, started running when I was 6. So I kind of, there was no expectations set on me from a young age.
Bone coot. Well, now it's probably too late to do the hardwire. But anyways, let's move on. Let's try to get Jaden back in. Let me know when you get him back on. and regrouping here. Let's go and recap the Jim Boughton, since that's where Jaden's most recent race was at. And as always, a great meet in Dubuque. I've told multiple people I wish I could go to this meet. I just can't get out of school early enough to leave. It's a 3-hour drive, but I've heard such great things on the course. It's a fast course. It's a very accurate course, and the kids love it. I hear the spectators line like 2/3 of this course on both sides.
I'd believe it. I remember going out there when I was at Loris and watching it one year, because it's all around the soccer complex. You don't have to go back into the woods or anything, so it's pretty spectator friendly.
You got him on? All right, we'll give it one more chance. All right, Jaden, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. All right, let's reset. Let's see if we can do this. If we can't, it's our fault, and we got to get it fixed. So, anyways, talk to us about the youth experience, and how that's helped you become where you are right now.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I started when I was pretty young. I started at 6. So for the first, 4 or 5 years, there was kind of no expectations. We just started off basically, just running for fun, kind of seeing where it was going. And I had a lot of success in the first 4 or 5 years. So by the time I was 11 and 12, we kind of started to do more of the junior Olympic stuff. And that junior Olympic stuff is where it became more serious. And it was like, okay, now we're going for national titles at the 11, 12-year-old age group, and just kind of seeing where it was going. And then by the time I got to freshman year, the expectations kind of reset. Freshman year, it was, see if there was any races I could win, and just kind of have fun with it, get introduced to high school stuff. Sophomore year, kind of build on that a little bit, try to win some more, be competitive, top 3 at most of the meets. And then going into junior year, expectations, obviously, they just keep stacking as you look towards college and stuff like that. So they became a little bit more, and now it's time to go fast and just always be up in the front pack of the race and trying the best to win them all. So
I love that. That's really smart, because you could get such high expectations, especially for a male. It's hard to transition from middle school to high school and be as dominant as you were. But it seems like you've just been so well coached and also well parented that you have these standards each year, which keeps you kind of focused. So that's great. What was the fastest mile you ran when you were 6?
I believe it was in the 9s. I believe when I was 6, it was in the 9s. I know when I was 7, I did my first 5K, like all out in like 21:30, 22 low. So that was at 7. And then did my first half at 7 too. So went 1:43 at 7 years old in the half. So
He was unbelievable. Like, he'd go to these summer meets, and he'd be double lapping these kids.
Jeez.
It was incredible.
I remember reading about it, but just awesome.
Let's move on and talk about just some of the ways that you are able to perform at such a high level. And when you get to be at your level, I know there's more to it than just showing up to practice and running. So what are some of those mental preparations that you do on a daily basis, and also some of the performance fueling routines that you go through? So what are a couple of routines that you have each day that both help your mind and your body fuel right to be able to perform at this level?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we do is I do double threshold twice a week. So do a tempo in the morning and then workout at night. And that even carries over to most race days. Like at our home meet, I did a 4-mile tempo in the morning before going to the afternoon race. And one of the biggest things that's led to success for us is, not racing every meet all out. No way you such, but when you go into a race, one that significantly, like, it's better to tempo, and just, even if that results in a loss, you just cruise through it. And it's just part of discipline, and discipline's probably the biggest thing that's kept me very successful. waking up in the morning, getting those runs done before school on a double threshold day, and then going to practice, obviously is huge. But consistency and discipline are like the two biggest things that have helped me stay healthy for so long and just keep getting better each year. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about your team a little bit. So how does that look with your team? And then on top of that, how does your team seem to reload every single year?
Yeah. So, I'm and just super awesome workouts. So it's been really great. You know, our seniors now all the way down to our freshmen, and even our eighth graders that'll be coming in next year are just all incredible. So it's definitely starting at the middle school level now. Our middle school has started to focus more on like, you know, structured workouts and kind of actually starting to get those kids ready to come into high school. And then a lot of our eighth graders will show up coming into freshman year and do the summer training. So they'll come every day down to Pfeiffer Park and they'll get their run in with the high school team, and that switching from the 2 mile to 5K. So I think the biggest thing for us and like being able to reload every year is just starting those. This is what practice looks like. This is what you got to do to stay healthy. This is how you got to build, and that just translates from ninth grade to 10th grade to 11th, and then race. So that really helps us be strong when we need to be. Like Marshalltown was our whole team. All the results popped in, and then like this weekend, Wartburg is a huge meet, but our team's not going to run varsity. Just that way we can, you know, take a week to reload and just train through and get ready for state, which is more important. So I think it's smart decisions all around, you know, not going too hard, not racing too much, too hard at every single race, and just it's the consistency and the discipline. That's the two biggest things that have helped our team at a whole aspect.
And then you just talked about your team a lot. And for a guy going for an individual championship, that speaks a lot. But what do you think your team is capable this year? You talked about the state meet. Let's talk about that, and maybe even after that.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, obviously we were second at state last year, so the goal is to be in that same running for the win again. Give it our best effort on the day and see what happens. But obviously the goal is on the deck for sure. And then, you know, same as last year, goal is to try to go for the win as a team. Super strong. Dowling super strong like always. They reload as well. So for NXRs to try to give it a go at making NXN individually for me and then as a team as well. So obviously Dowling will be there as well, and it's going to be a good race. But I think our main goal first is to just do the best we can. But after that, it's see what happens at Heartland. So
I apologize that the connection is not good. Still working that out, but
no worries.
I think we got a lot of good stuff from you.
No, it's
And
okay.
man, you're a lot of fun to watch, and we're lucky that you still have another year and a half here after cross country, because I don't like ever not seeing you run because of the competitiveness, and then you got these rivalries brewing with Zuber and Nauman and Dunham, and it's just a lot of fun. So
Yeah, no, for sure it is. The whole state overall has just been improving the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
Heidish and Washburn kind of broke away, and then it's been flowing in with, you know, me, Nauman, Dunham, Zuber, and so many. It's incredible. The state's really taken off, so it's going to set up for the next few years as well. But it'll be a blast. So yeah.
Well, we'll all be watching, and we'll be following it here on the Exchange Zone. So thanks a bunch, and best of luck here in the coming weeks for you
Yeah, no
and the
worries.
Cedar
Thank
Falls
you.
Tigers.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Jaden Merrick, man, you can tell why he's so successful just listening, and the knowledge he has and the attention to detail that you could tell that he has every day, but also just listening to him and how detailed he is really impressive.
Right, and you can tell he's not burnt out by it. You know, people can
Loves
think
it.
from a young age, you know, starting that early. Him and the other junior we had on, Marissa, well, we've had many juniors on, but just they get it. It's just crazy, and how poised they are. That they talk about themselves, but they're humble. They talk about their team far more than they were talking about themselves, and just the daily habits that you can see out of these kids is what takes them far. So I'm excited. It's going to be a fun rest of the season for him, and I'm glad, like you said, we get a year and a half to watch him at the Iowa high school level.
Yeah, so let's get back to that Jim Boughton meet. We'll start with the girls, and Kyle, Charlie Gall, another big win for her. And we said last week we thought that maybe she's the one to beat in 4A, and I think that continues, as she had not seen Pleasant Valley yet this year until Thursday in Dubuque, and she saw the Spartans for the first time in Grace Bolin. Got the results there on the screen. Thank you, Joel. And you can see on the screen Charlie Gall, 18:02. Oliveri with a very nice race for Waterloo West at 18:17. And Grace Bolin, good to see her back in the Spartan lineup at 18:27. Sounded like a real fast pace to start, and Gall just pulled away. And that's the report that I got. But how about Chesterman and Henneberry of Senior and Hempstead rounding out that top five? And Jolie Sullivan is really putting together a heck of a freshman campaign for Davenport Central at 6th.
Right. She's just a freshman, only 30 seconds off the other freshman taking the win here. Gall kind of reminds me a lot of Lightson, her first year for Hempstead.
Mm-hmm.
Just the strength and the poise for her going up against a great field, especially. Nakia Oliveri is the top returner coming back. Boland's obviously a proven runner, so she's just done everything that you could have asked for a freshman and more in this first year.
Yeah. The team side of things, Pleasant Valley, the champion, they came into this ranked number 1 in Class 4A after a really impressive performance out in Illinois. I didn't know this, but some regionally ranked teams and a national national Nike place-winning team from last year was in that competition. They finished 4th, but they win here. Some good and some bad in this for Pleasant Valley. The bad first, Wiedemeyer didn't have the race that she was hoping for. In fact, I'm not sure. I think she might have been their 5th or 6th runner. Heard she went out fast, maybe just didn't respond to that. The good, look at the depth. Mm-hmm. All 7 in front of Seniors 4. And that's on a day that Wiedemeyer didn't have her best stuff. I just don't think anyone can beat this team. And I'm not going to lock them up yet. I'm going to wait another week probably. They'll be at Wartburg on Saturday. But, Kyle, with this depth and the way that they ran, even without Wiedemeyer, who was top 8 last year in 4A for City High, I think they're too much for 4A.
They're looking better and better every week. When you have a runner get second in a quality meet like this and only have a 40-second spread, reminds you a lot of those Cedar Falls boys teams that are always in the podium hunt. But they're going to be tough to beat for sure. A lot of these 4A girls teams have their work cut out the next couple weeks.
And Senior is continuing to get better every week. Coach Louis Fisher, I've always said one of the top coaches, both genders, in the state of Iowa for what he's doing over there with the Rams. They had a great meet, 19 back from Pleasant Valley. I think this is probably about as good as Senior has ran this year. If they can just hold this level right here, Kyle, I think this is a top 5 team, and they have an outside shot at a podium finish there for 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Just a really impressive performance. I'm anxious. Where do you have Senior in your updated rankings? Because I think they've closed the gap on Johnston and Centennial.
Yeah, that's a great question. I moved him up to 4 this week. I think I had Cedar Falls at 4 last week. Senior has definitely proven themselves, beating Cedar Falls in back-to-back weeks, beating City High. Johnston did beat them 4 weeks ago. But Senior has gotten better and better every single week. So they've definitely have slid up into the podium conversation, but 4th right now.
And moving to the boys' race, obviously one of the races of the year, you had Merrick and Zuber at Marshalltown. Well, here we had the rematch of Merrick and Nauman, which I think we saw early in the year at Cedar Rapids Prairie. It was Nauman at Prairie over Merrick. This time Merrick gets some revenge. We probably should have asked him about that. But a 10-second win. It sounded like they were neck and neck for most of the way, and Merrick just pulled away at the end. A little bit about a mile to go, right around that area, and it was a nice win. I mean, look at the time. And this is dead accurate.
Yep.
I was told that this was wheeled 3 or 4 extra times right on the dot. Fast course, but right on the dot.
Right, and it's basically like running on a golf course fairway the whole time. It's a lot of soccer fields, so that helps definitely for sure. I don't know if it's a single or a double line course. Doesn't matter.
It's probably a lot like the state meet course.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
It's been a while since I've been out there, but you're absolutely impressive. And it was a little choppy there. I didn't hear if he did his 4-mile threshold the morning of this race or not. But to run 14:46 the afternoon after doing a threshold in the morning is pretty impressive if he did do that.
That's like flexing to the state.
Yes. It is.
That was a flex.
It is. Absolutely. I did not see that coming. I don't know. I guess I don't know necessarily of many high schoolers doing double workouts necessarily. I know some double, but I don't know. He's been doing this a long, long time, and he loves it. So he's an impressive dude for sure.
Next up, we had Keegan Decker, who's having a great year for Liberty. He was third at 15:31. A.J. Wiley of Bettendorf, very good as well, at 15:32. Is that what that says? And just a good race all in all here in this individual battle. Keegan DeGroat of Cedar Falls was 5th, and that rounded out the top 5. Cedar Falls with the win in this one, which we expected, and it was an easy win, 36. Bettendorf second at 92. Pretty much everything went as planned in this one on the boys' side. Let's go to Sioux Center in our other meet recap that we're looking at this week in depth.
Yeah, that A.J. Wiley was 56th at the state meet last year. What was he there? Fourth, fifth there in 15-something. So he's made some big improvements this year, and that's why Bettendorf is in the state qualifying conversation. But to Sioux Center we go on the girls' side. It was the MOC Floyd Valley girls taking the win by 6 points. They come in ranked number 14, taking down that number 6 Sioux Center team again by 6 points. Got a good look at Unity Christian here coming in third. They are 2A, so a little different than MOC and Sioux Center. But no Audrina Jones for Sioux Center, so maybe that's why the upset occurred. Obviously, she's their number 1, winning a lot of meets, or in the top 2-3 at a lot of meets here. Again, that's why MOC Floyd Valley did take down Sioux Center this week, but still an impressive performance for them. So without Audrina Jones, the individual champion there is Elise Zwart of Boyden Hull Rock Valley, getting that win over Peyton Morey of Spencer.
Yeah, Elise Zwart, we talked about her a couple weeks ago. She's having a good year for Boyden Hull.
Absolutely. Let's go to the boys then. Sioux City North 4A school here gets the win pretty handily. We already talked about Gutema taking that victory individually. But then, man, we had 7 ranked non-4A teams in this meet, 2 through 8. All very, very close. Second place was 93 points, all the way down to 6th place was 113. So 20 points separating second through 6th. Okoboji with the upset, coming in number 6, taking down number 2 Spirit Lake by 4 points there. From my math, Okoboji did not have their typical number 5, and Spirit Lake didn't have their typical 6 and 7. So note of that, but still the upset occurs for Okoboji. Unity Christian, that's a team we have not gotten a full look of this year, I would say, necessarily.
They surprised me in this one.
They did. I did not expect them to come in 4th. We saw those 1 results a few weeks ago. They came in last place.
They were last,
in
yeah.
the 1 meet. So, but just a few points back of Spirit Lake there. They're currently ranked number 7. That's why the IATC does have their rankings. They know them better than us, for sure. And just behind Unity Christian by 3 points is Sioux Center. They are ranked number 9 in Class 3A. MOC Floyd Valley coming in 6th. They're ranked number 11 in 3A. And then just a little ways back, Sheldon and Spencer. They tie at 179. Sheldon currently number 11 in 2A, and Spencer number 18 in 3A. Spirit Lake, though, from what I could see, they have still not ran their number 3 from last year's meet, Ethan Weina. But, we talked about Gutema getting that win in 16:03. Brandon Hughes coming in second, 29 seconds behind. But that leaves me with Okoboji and Spirit Lake with potentially each having a runner from their top 5 missing. There's still a lot more to be seen from these two teams.
Yeah, this was a really good meet on the boys' side, and one that's important as we go down these last 4 weeks, because we start to see some things start to piece together. It'd be nice to see, and hopefully these teams are at full strength here coming up, because I think that also will have an impact on how this 2A team race goes. I really like Boji. I just feel like they're coming on, still didn't have their top 5. So we'll have to wait and see, and I would expect they'll move up quite a bit here in the rankings after this week. Speaking of the IATC rankings, Greg Blank does a great job of collecting the results. He's posting the results, the source, and the timing company and all that stuff as well. Another great place to get results on IowaRunJumpThrow.com. Let's go to, real quickly, Waukon. Another big meet at Waukon. And then Eastern Iowa Classic will be our last one. And we talked about the Waukon meet earlier with Isaac Riesinger and how he's really put them on the map in Class 2A. Do you think Waukon's underranked in 2A? I think they're 8th.
Let me check. Yes.
Especially with how wide open. We did
Well-
not have them on our chart last week, so that's why I asked that.
Yeah. I think they're for sure in the top 7. With Denver, Mid-Prairie, Okoboji, Waukon, Owine, Spirit Lake, Forest City, and then that next group of teams is like Anamosa and Sheraton. But I think a lot of those teams are interchangeable. Last week I probably had them at 8, but right now I got them at 4.
And their boys win this one. Their boys were second in this one to Decorah.
Right.
And that's why I put this on here, because I wanted to touch upon Decorah. 31 points at Waukon to win, 47 for Waukon, a really good race for them. But Decorah, they're starting to put together this really tight pack. And they go 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, all 5 in the top 10. And this is a Decorah team with a 29-second spread that seems to be peaking at the right time in Class 3A. Definitely a podium contending team.
Man, without question. The 3A boys too is pretty mixed up right now. The top 3 are pretty dang good. Outside of that, I'd say it's wide open. Now, this meet isn't the best of depth, for
Right.
Decorah. Waukon's pretty good. Central Cater's improved this year, but after that, this isn't the best field, but still, I don't need this meet to tell me that I know Decorah is really good.
And Davis Capola, their usual number 2 for Decorah, did not run in this one. So this is a team with a ton of depth. And I think if that depth can continue to get 5 to 10 to 15 seconds better, it really will have an impact in 3A and possibly look at a runner-up conversation, because it's Gilbert and right now a huge gap, including Pella and Des Moines Christian. So it'll be interesting. We're going to talk more about 3A next week, but that was a good one there. And then in the Eastern Iowa Classic on the boys' side, we had a heck of an individual race at the Eastern Iowa Classic, and I'm pulling that up. Ethan Zuber of Ankeny. Didn't know they went to this meet, but they go over to Seminole Park and Ethan Zuber gets the victory, 15-14. Slater Bugheiser of Cedar Rapids Kennedy, holy cow, was second at 15:32. Mustafa Tia 15:34, and Ike Smith of Ankeny at 15:35. Kyle, this was a really good race for those 4. all at 15:40 or faster. This is always a very honest course as well, but a good race for those guys.
Yeah, I like this meet or that course. Do you think this was an occasion where maybe Zuber held off the gas a little bit, and then at the end just turned on the jets and did what he needed to do to get that 1 point?
I'm guessing, yeah. But those guys are having a heck of a year behind him. I mean, you've talked about Slater. You've talked about, we've talked about Ike Smith, Tegan Krellick of Norwalk, having a really good year for the Warriors. Did Anania run in this one, Kyle? I'm pulling that up right now. Yeah, he did. So Norwalk came in as the favorite. They did not win, as you highlighted earlier. City High, the winning team in this Eastern Iowa Classic.
Right, yeah. We talked about that quite a bit earlier, but probably the 4A boys' performance of the week is coming from City High.
Let's go to Bloomer Trivia. And I don't know if your sound will work, but we'll see. All right. Who won the first ever boys state championship in 1922? We've got quite a comments going here in the chat. We just need to have like a round table. It's all these guys come in. So, Bloomer Trivia. Who won the first ever boys state championship in 1922? First person to get it right will get a hat sent to you. So if you win, email me at bdewey@waukeeschools.org, and we will mail you a hat within the next couple weeks. So, good question. I honestly have no idea off the top of my head.
Can't have a repeat winner, right?
What's your guy's name?
Cooper.
Cooper, you can't repeat. Just text your answer to Kyle.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, anyways, Cooper's like the human AI. I feel like if we ever need anything answered, we'll just reach out to Cooper.
When we went up to Nevada this week, him and James got to geek out on the website.
Oh, boy. All right, some quick hits. Kyle, you're up first, and that's about all we're going to have tonight. We'll look at the poll question and get the right answer for the Bloomer Trivia. But let's go to our quick hit.
I got distracted. I was reading the YouTube chat there. But my first one is unranked winner set. You know, they started the season in the rankings, losing Colin Kessler throughout the season. But he's back, had a good race at Indianola. They're only 6 back of winner set. Carlisle winner set only 6 back of Carlisle. Carlisle did not have their top 3 or typical number 3 runner, Talon Wallstrom. But good to see Colin Kessler back for Winterset, the Huskies. Second quick hit, we just got the Albiot girls, Class 2A. Haven't seen a ton of them this year. They don't typically race the toughest schedule, but only 4 back of a pretty solid 3A Gilbert squad. We talked about Solon taking down number 2 Mount Vernon Lisbon. Mount Vernon Lisbon is still without 2 of their top 6 from last year, from what I found. Easton Wisner and Abby Moss both ran at the state meet for them last year and have not run this year. So another Okoboji Spirit Lake, like maybe they're getting 2 back here. That'll really help them in that podium conversation. And then we've talked about Lake Mills taking down Forest City. Both ranked number 1 in their respective classes a few weeks ago. Forest City did drop to about 10, but Lake Mills getting that head-to-head victory by 5 points.
And let's move on to the next quick hit, and that is your long-lost twin, Kyle Wagner of Clarinda. We've been talking about Kyle for years.
I know. I feel like he should have graduated by now.
And he might have had the best race of his career the other day at Creston. 26-second win over a really good Lucas Anderson of Sheraton. And Sheraton's got several runners that are top 15, top 20 caliber in 2A. Kyle Wegner, Clarinda, and what a performance by him. And I think, coming into the year, he's definitely a podium contender. Obviously, I think he might have been on the deck last year, but maybe looking to push that top 10 for Clarinda. And they're in 3A. Is that correct?
2A.
They are in 2A.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'd say if he's a frequent listener, we have to get him on and just maybe
Someone get a hold of Kyle Wagner in Clarinda. We just got to have him pop on for a little bit.
someone's gotta know.
Martinsdale girls, we already mentioned, but Joel, do you have our meet forecast in 1A? So, folks, take a look at this. You probably already saw it earlier. Joel, you almost showed the answer. All right, Kyle and I were talking before the show. I'm geeking out on 1A cross country, and for those that have listened for years, I've kind of been a little bit on the side in 1A. Kyle drives the ship. This year, I'm excited about 1A because this has been a really intriguing year. So on the screen, thanks to crosscountryratings.com and the forecast tool, we put the top 6 teams into the forecast model in the 1A girls race as of today. And if you scroll down there a little bit, Joel, obviously Earlham there, a 56% chance to win. I like to scroll down and show the team score. Is that possible? Okay, it's just a little delay. There it is right there. Kyle, now obviously we're excluding 10 more teams from the field, or 9 more teams, but look at that. That's how close 1A is right now on the girls' side. Earlham, Martinsdale, Trainer, Madrid without Grothus, and Linville Sully. And there's your Southwind team, who we were not panicking on. But this is really fascinating.
Yeah, it is. A few years ago, it was, man, how close. Well, it was like 4 points between the top 3 or 4 teams or something like that. Crazy. And I think it's shaping up to be something like that again this year.
Pretty cool. And if anyone wonders why we were looking down sometimes, there's a TV screen on the floor. So Kyle was just staring down at the floor, but we're looking at the screen right now. So, but yeah, really cool. And we'll do more of these forecast models as we go. We just finally got Joel's computer connected to this, which is going to be huge for us. Is the YouTube work yet? It might be choppy. St. Ansgar, I mean, hopefully someone can show St. Ansgar. We gave him a shout out here on the Exchange Zone. You guys work on that, and we'll continue on. I think we have just one more there with Woodbine.
Yep. Number 4, Woodbine taking down number 2, Riverside this week. Riverside's really shot up the last couple weeks. Woodbine's kind of been a team consistently in the rankings for the last few years, especially. But yeah, number 4, Woodbine getting the 7-point victory over Riverside.
Best thing I saw. Started the show with it. Now I think we can get it on the screen here. The St. Ansgar cross country meet. Look at this, folks. Even if it's choppy, look at that camera angle on the screen. Kind of looks like a security cam footage to what you look like on the screen. But if you go to whatever that says down there, Saints TV, you can watch this race again in Manly, Iowa. If they can do this in Manly, Iowa, they can do this in Fort Dodge at the cross country state meet.
One would hope.
So there we go. A little choppy, but thanks there, guys, for putting that up. And good job by the folks at St. Ansgar. Look, they got a running clock and everything. They got results on top. The Panther Invitational. This is the junior high race we're looking at.
This is some ESPN Plus, SEC Network type stuff right here.
Yeah, big time.
Nice work.
Yep, good work by them. All right, let's look at our poll question. And Joel's microphone's not working tonight. So, what do we got, Joel? Oh, deep roster. I got it. Deep roster, 77%. Now, I'm going to put a little plug in here. It depends on what class you're in.
No.
Lake Mills is proving that a deep roster is not necessary to win a state championship and possibly repeat this year. Nothing against their 4 through, whatever kids they have. I think you can get away with it in the smaller classes. A little more challenging the larger classes you go.
Yeah, I agree with you because you got that low stick really is a huge difference because that can be a massive point difference. I'm kind of looking at the question more from a program perspective, when you have a deep, consistent roster, it's a sign of what you've built as a program. The Carlisles, the ADMs, the Gilberts, Pella, Pleasant Valley, those teams always have people in the mix, and it's just because of what they've built. And when you have those consistent runners, I guess, is what they have. Yes, every few years you get those really standout runners, but in a one season, I think you have far more of an argument to have a few standout runners versus the long term.
I mean, from the standpoint of program development, you're absolutely correct. You want to have depth because, as you said, depth breeds more depth, in my opinion.
Right.
And training with more talented people will bring you more talented people over time. But to have one or two really, really low sticks, that gets you really far too in high school cross country from a team score standpoint. We've seen multiple times and different, and even at the large school level. So yeah, overall I'd go deep roster. However, obviously at the smaller school size, it is harder to have a deeper roster because you don't have as many kids to work with.
True. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
whole nother rabbit hole.
Bloomer trivia. Do we have a winner?
You want to do who the first person was?
First correct person. I saw that Cooper Steeple gave
a
away
hint.
the answer.
No, he gave a hint.
It looks like it was Winter Lover 73.
Nice. All right, Winter Lover 73. You are the winner. It was Cedar Rapids. Cedar Rapids High School had one high school back then, and they win the 1922 Boys State Championship. So Winter Lover 73, you can shoot me an email, bdewey@walkieschools.org, and we'll get your address, and we'll send a hat out your way here this cross-country season at some point. All right, Kyle. As we previewed, huge week coming up. State qualifying meet pairings come out, I believe, the 15th or 16th of October. Does that sound? No. Yeah, that's right. 15th or 16th of October.
That'd be the week before then.
Tuesday or Wednesday. It is not the week before then.
No, or it's the week before state qualifying.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're calling this week coming up. I feel like college football, they have like that big week that they're really focusing on to, like movement week, or we need a name for this week, but it's a big week.
I don't know. I feel like late in the season's when all the SEC schools play the FCS schools, but no, I know what you're talking about. This is kind of, like you said, movement week, or the litmus test, or to show where you really are as we get into those final conversations about where teams are going to get sent and what your ranking is and all that. It is a big week for sure to prove yourself, or maybe if things don't go so well, hurt your chances, I guess. But what do we got on the docket this week?
Some really, really good meets. And let's start with the biggest one, and that'll be Saturday. And we're not even going to speculate who's going to Wartburg. We don't have a list at this time, and Bound doesn't really show. But we know we're going to get a big-time meet. And this is one of those where it's kind of like a state meet preview, if you will. Obviously, not everyone's going. But we're going to see, especially in the smaller classes, 1A, 2A, and 3A, we're going to see a lot of ranked teams in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a fast course.
Yeah, we a little looked at going up to that meet. Just difficult with it being a little bit farther away for us. But
And a Saturday.
Exactly. But
and you're not a fan of the Wartburg course, you've said on the show before.
Oh, have I?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Every time.
Just because it's associated with Wartburg, or I don't remember. But
no, it's a negative elevation.
Oh, man, I don't know.
All right.
Either way, it's always a good meet. You're going to get good competition. Yeah. So excited to see the live results from it on Saturday.
City High. the Bud Williams Classic at Kickers Park. You're going to see Centennial, Dubuque Senior, and 3A Juggernaut Pella. And that'll be an interesting one. I think Pella wins, but I think these two teams will be within striking distance. I'm not saying they're going to pull an upset, but I don't think it's going to be like a 20 to 60 type of deal. I think it's going to be like 35, 45, 50, 60 type of deal.
With Centennial in second or Senior?
I'm going to go Centennial. Centennial had a good week. Ran well at Rim Rock. Did not have their third or fourth runner with Julia Flick. Stayed back and ran at Indianola, actually. They didn't have a complete team down there. But I do like Centennial over Senior.
I'm not going to make a prediction. I just hope all seven have all seven,
Yeah.
and it's a fun race.
Southeast Polk, another big girls meet. This
Mhm.
is probably the biggest girls 4A meet of the week here. You've got Johnston. We haven't seen Johnston for a while. They ran at Griak. It's always hard to judge those Griak results. You're going to see Johnston. You're going to see Ankeny, Northwest, DCG. That's the one I've got highlighted, Kyle. They were in our Panic or No a couple weeks ago. I think now's the time. I think they ran a couple of their girls this week in a JV race. We're going to see if DCG puts this together at Southeast Polk. Waukee, another one. Michelle McConkey back in their lineup. They're running very well. I think they're going to be in the mix in this one. And then Ames. I mean, you're talking about three teams that preseason we all had in the top 10, two of them in the top 5, starting to put their lineup. Will Helmer's run for Ames.
She hasn't ran since Marshalltown, I don't think. So
this is a big meet.
Mhm.
This is a huge movement meet in 4A right here.
I agree, without question. Like you said, Johnston just raced Griak. I think they had a week off. I think they beat Valley the week before that pretty comfortably. So this will be the first test outside of Griak and outside state schools for them in a while. So this will be a fun one.
What do you know about Jessup? We just have it blank.
Flat. A lot of 2A, a lot of 3A, like the Hudsons, obviously Jessup,
Yep.
Sumner Fred, probably a Cresco.
Vinton.
I think Vinton goes up there.
I think Vinton's at Williamsburg.
You're right. They
Yeah.
are with us at Williamsburg. But just always a good mix of 2A, 3A schools and 1A schools.
Denver, do they go down to Jessup?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Osage, probably.
Williamsburg. Big one on the girls' side. You got Solon and Mount Vernon again. Tipton in 2A with Steinus. I think this is a team that's going to be making a late season push here on the girls' side with Tipton. ADM, Kyle, they're starting to look a little better. Their
Mhm.
lineup's starting to become more full every week. Seems to be they need to get Haley James back in there. Hopefully she can run. But Adel had their best meet last week. I think they're going to mix it up, pretty good with those schools as well. Then on the boys' side, a huge 8 through 15 matchup here with Adel, Carlisle, Williamsburg, and Bondurant Farrar. And obviously you'll have Mount Vernon Lisbon there as the favorite on the boys' side. But those 4 schools all in the mix there in the top 15, top 10 possibly, fighting for position before these pairings come out. And it's a big one in the 3A boys in Williamsburg.
And some good 2A, too. Tipton's there. You talked
Yep.
about Vinton.
Big meet for Tipton boys.
Yep.
They've kind of been up and down.
Pella's JV is coming, so we'll see.
Pella Christian's there.
Yep.
So really good meet in Williamsburg. Western Dubuque, you're going to see DeWitt versus Decorah. DeWitt is a sneaky good team. We don't talk about them a lot just because they're kind of in that area that they don't really see everyone all the time. I'm excited for that matchup in West Dubuque.
Me too. That's a fun meet. We went there in high school. I think a good test to both teams. I think both match up well. I give the edge to Decorah, but this will be a good test for DeWitt.
And then in the last one will be in Sheraton, Albia, PCM, and the Martinsdale St. Mary's girls. Really good meet. I thought Albia ran pretty well in Indianola. If they can kind of make that pack a little tighter, their top 2 are running really well with Montgomery leading the way. But if they can tighten that pack 1 to 5, Albia is still running very well in Class 2A, and I'm excited to see how Martinsdale. We talked about them earlier, almost pulled the shocker over Earlham last week. How will they stack up against a really good 2A school in Albia?
Yep, that'll be a great one too. Man,
Big week.
Yes,
and it's
it
going to
is.
be a big week on the Exchange Zone next weekend. We've got some good guests that we have hopefully lined up for that, and hopefully we can get it so it's not choppy anymore. I know that's, not the most ideal thing for a guest to come on and have it be choppy, but we're working hard on it. We knew this was going to be, a learning process for us, but we'll keep trying.
yeah, I feel like we try something different every week, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. A lot of the graphics and the things that we can do with the show stuff on the screen is awesome.
Yep.
Kudos to you, Dewey. You're putting in a lot of work getting those things ready.
Hey, we
So-
got 100 feet of Ethernet cord
Yeah.
coming from the main floor down here that we'll hopefully use next week to help out as well. We got to get Joel's mic going, but Joel, good work tonight on the graphics, and being able to share his computer will be great. I think that's all we have. So, good show. Thanks, Jaden Merrick, for coming on. And next week we'll be back to recap all these big-time meets. And, man, next week it's October. Well, it's October Tuesday, but crazy to think 2 weeks to go before pairings come out.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's here. It's been a fun season. I've enjoyed, obviously, every meet. I feel like people come up and just, talk about the podcast and are appreciative of it. So, and keep the emails. Know that I read them, and as soon as I can get to them, I get a response to you. But they're very, very much appreciative. Did you share about the Wakan, the dairy cow?
No, that's going to be my next best thing. I'm hoping to get some
Oh.
pictures.
There were some in there. Okay, never
Did
mind.
they send them?
I thought so.
Oh, I'll put it on next
All
week.
right.
We got a
Jeez.
really cool deal next week for best thing I saw. Aaron Brandenburg, last thing here in the comments. Lake Mills' fourth runner is consistently moving up and ran 17:37 last week. So if Lake Mills has 4, which we have seen, Lake Mills is starting to close the gap there from number 1 to 3. Thank you, Aaron, for chiming in there. But we see it. It's a number 1 team right now. So thanks for chiming in there. And maybe we'll have the trio of Lake Mills on. That'd be something next week.
Send us an email.
Send us an email. All right. Best of luck this week. We have another beautiful week of weather. Mid-70s the whole week. Sun in the sky. And